Welcome to Brothers King Media. We'll review eternity through the lens of art. My name is Samuel.
And I'm Solly.
And welcome back to our discourse through the discography of David Crowder Band. Today we're just kind of, we actually haven't talked for a couple weeks now. Been a busy summer.
Very busy.
And
it'll clear up here during the fall and winter.
Yeah. And so we're going to pick up where we left off. We last time we were together, we did A Collision, an album I enjoyed reviewing very much as my favorite David Crowder Band album.
Right.
And we're going to kind of look at not the sequel, but the sister EP to that, if you will, B Collision. Or as the additional titles say on here, B is for Banjo, or B-Sides, or Bill. Or perhaps more accurately, the ecology of bluegrass. I hope I said that word correctly.
Let me see.
Ecology. If anyone ever actually listens to this, feel free to correct us, by all means.
I can't tell if that's an A, but it looks like an S.
We're like looking at the CD cover, so it's a bit hard to tell.
If that is an S, it's eschatology.
Eschatology. Yeah. Words are hard, kids.
Words are hard for him. I'm like an A+ in math and English. I almost said math. That's him. He's the math guy. I'm the English dude.
So let's jump right in, like we always do, with production. And there's honestly not too much that stands out as far as production. It's, of course, all the normal musicians, the David Crowder Band joining in. And on this album, they have Shane and Robbie Say jumping in, the Robbie Say Band, jumping in a couple songs because there is some live sections. And I guess this would be more accurately Jason Solly's swan song. This was his last go as not the lead guitarist, but one of the guitarists.
He was the rhythm guitarist.
Rhythm guitarists.
You have rhythm guitar, lead guitar, and filler guitar. And let me just tell you, filler guitar is not the one you want to be. And rhythm's okay. So what I'm saying is lead guitar is the best.
Varies, depends. Nothing wrong with a solid rhythm guitar.
As long as it's solid, you know what I'm saying.
I mean, Matt Odemark of Jars of Clay. He is a solid rhythm guitarist.
Okay, but see, that's the thing, though. Matt Odemark, he didn't just play rhythm. Because there's rhythm, and then there's beast mode. Mm-hmm. And the way he plays is he does play rhythm, but when he is playing his quote-unquote chords, he's adding notes every time he's playing a chord. When he's going down on the rhythm, he's adding the melody. So he's more of a melody guitar, while, what is that other guy?
Darn it, I forget. Sorry, Jars of Clay, not that you'll ever hear this. We forget your lead guitar for the time, guitar player for the time being. And I promise, I really love him. He's a great guitar player.
They all are.
I can't think of his name.
Crap nuggets.
So,
yeah, well, anyway.
Let's just bounce back to David Crowder Band.
He's more of your lead guitarist. Because he just hits the single notes and maybe plays the two-fingered chords. Mm-hmm. So, yep. Sorry.
So, nothing to do with David Crowder Band, but I would have loved to seen Jars of Clay and David Crowder Band tour together.
Music is music.
That would have been a good tour right there.
Well, I feel like Jars of Clay would have become way better. David Crowder Band would have became way bigger if they would have toured with Jars of Clay. And then
I don't know. Jars of Clay was not big after the 90s.
Right.
Like, they were just kind of a middle-of-the-road band after that.
See, I don't feel like they even tried to be. Okay, this is about David Crowder.
Let's bounce back
to
a B Collision. We can't technically talk about Jars of Clay yet because they're not officially broken up.
Right.
I was listening to an interview by Dan Hazeltine, and he said he's hoping that he builds up enough music that he can eventually record another album. So
they ran out of music?
Well, like he's just writing. Like,
Okay, this is David Crowder Band. We can't get into this, man. We're already 5 minutes in and we're blowing it.
It's okay. It's okay. But the point is,
hopefully he's coming back. I'm just saying.
I would love
like at least one more good.
I just want to see Jars of Clay as like a studio band because REM, some of their best albums were when they were just a strictly studio band and they just quit touring because they were so fed up with it.
Right.
And I would love to see Jars of Clay do that.
I don't know if I would say that because I would at least like to see them.
Oh, I would love to see them.
Yeah.
But to hear what they can put out as not without any stress of touring or anything, as just studio, I'd be curious what they could put out.
Right.
I think that'd be good stuff.
Well, maybe that's what they're doing. They're just trying to surprise their fans.
Maybe. Neither here nor there.
Please, Jesus. That's what we want.
So, B Collision. So, production, nothing too special. They obviously went more stripped back, taking a more, it's a B-sides collection. So they were taking a more stripped back side, all recorded in the barn, in Crowder's barn.
Dr. Pepper's barn.
Dr. Pepper's barn. And, it's not even a studio anymore, and that makes me sad.
It does. It got sold. They sold it.
It's really quite sad.
Those beautiful jerks.
I think we're gonna have to do like just one podcast
dedicated to the studio.
Dedicated. Well, we could do that, but I'd say one podcast dedicated to the rockumentaries, which all take place inside the barn.
Let's do it.
So,
no more rockumentaries in the barn. Dang it. Why? Why did you guys? Why?
I know, right? Which we'll do those right before we do church music, because all the rockumentaries
are
leading up to church
the Digital Ages.
No, we're not gonna. We're gonna stop at the church music rockumentaries.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
Because if we try to go beyond that, it'll just
get we don't want to do that. That's just weird.
It
just got awkward for the band after David left.
Poor guys.
Poor guys.
Well, really, it was after Hogan.
I think they. Yeah.
That's what made it awkward, right?
So it made it awkward.
They lost their violin and they lost their
now
rhythm.
What are they doing? I think they're like playing for like big church events, which isn't. There's nothing wrong with that, but like it's not. They've got way more potential.
I mean, Digital Age. I listened to their Evening Morning album the other day.
Right.
Just like I haven't listened to this for a while. Maybe some fresh ears will make me appreciate it more. And I was like, this is boring. Like
there's only like 2 songs on it that I really like. Okay.
That stand out a little bit.
Okay, well, never mind. Their Rehearsals EP is their best.
Yeah, and that's...
After Rehearsals, then they had Volume 2, which then they started using the talk boxes, or not talk boxes, but like the voice simulators, which, hey, if you know how to do it right, there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of good bands use them. But they were just the songs they used it on. Mm-hmm. Not so much. But anyway, yeah.
I mean... we love you, Digital Age. I will still listen to all your new albums when you release them.
We really do love you. And now that I know the barn isn't the recording studio anymore. Yeah.
So
don't look like we're going there next year.
I know, right? So not too much to talk about as far as production goes. Let's just jump into the songs themselves then. Starts off with a David Crowder nearly solo track, honestly. I've Had Enough. And it reminds me a little bit of like Come and Listen, Sparks of Life. Like, I think this is a B-sides album.
Right.
I think this is probably this was their backup plan as an intro track, is what I've Had Enough was.
I've Had Enough.
So, but, nothing stands out to me too much on the song. It's a good little jitty. It's a decent acoustic track by Crowder.
As usual.
And maybe, starting out on this, maybe I probably haven't given him enough credit for his creative input on this. It was, I guess I just like the idea of the David Crowder band so much and I'm not a big fan of his solo music.
Oh, heck no.
I don't mind it. I'm not a huge fan
of it. Oh, I don't like it at all.
How
can you go from being one of contemporary Christian music's biggest, I want to say rock bands, because they did rock.
They were a rock band.
They were pretty much a rock band. To this Southern gospel. You know what Southern gospel music is? Wannabe contemporary Christian music with a Southern accent.
That's what modern Southern gospel is. We may have to like
just like country music is wannabe pop music with a southern accent.
That's modern country music. I mean, Johnny Cash.
Okay, Johnny Cash was a rock star, bro. Like Johnny Cash put Elvis to shame. If Elvis is country music to shame.
Yes, very much so.
Now there was a rock song that Johnny Cash did. He covered, and I'm not gonna say who it was by, but he covered that one song. Mm-hmm. It was okay, but I'd rather listen to Elvis's rock than, I'd rather listen to crap. What is? I don't know any of the names of his songs. I just know the songs.
Neither here nor there. We're not here to talk about Johnny Cash either.
This is about stinking David Crowder Band. I'm sorry.
Not Jars of Clay. Not Johnny Cash.
Not Elvis. This isn't about genres of music. We do
talk about.
I wonder if we're just getting tired of talking about the David Crowder Band.
No, I think the problem is this album. There's not too much to say about it.
There's really not.
We're gonna skip. I'm gonna skip ahead and then go back to the songs. My kind of assessment of this album is, it's good. It's very good. And by any lesser band, it would be one of their best.
Right.
But coming from David Crowder Band...
Well, like if Chris Tomlin
did this, I would be blown away.
I'd be like,
whoa.
That's what we mean. We're not talking in general.
Yes, like, if a lot of other bands did this, though, particularly in the contemporary Christian music circle, I would be blown away. I'd be like, wow, that was amazing. But coming from David Crowder Band, particularly off such a good album as a Collision. This strikes me as a very good album, a very listenable album.
Right.
But nothing that like grabs me and just doesn't let go. Like I can listen to it and enjoy it very much, and then forget it exists for 6 months at a time. And then I listen to it, and I'm like, I love this, and then I forget it exists for 6 months again.
Right, yeah. I forgot it existed until you told me that I had to listen to it again. I'm sorry. I just don't like, I don't like remix or live. Live is okay, but remix not so much.
I love remix if it's done properly. And speaking of remix, that leads us to A Beautiful Collision and Wholly Yours, which are essentially just stripped back versions of those songs with a banjo thrown in. And they translate surprisingly well to a kind of porch, sitting on the porch, strumming your guitar sound. Wouldn't you agree?
Right. Yeah.
They translate well to that sound.
It's like they're like that. I forget what that movie is, where that guy just playing the guitar, and there's the kid sitting the banjo on a porch, and he just. You're
thinking of Dueling Banjos, which isn't a movie. It's a song.
Okay, but there's also a movie where they're doing it. I don't know
this movie you're talking about.
But I don't know. But that's what it reminds me of. They're like, hey, we're gonna go into the. Yeah, I'm just gonna really slow guitar, and when you feel like coming in, you just come on in, and then Jack's like. Except not like that, but I feel like it all fits.
It definitely all fits, and it's good. I like it. I like the B variants, the remixes, if you will. There's really only three real remixes in this album, and there's 8 songs.
Right.
So after that, we get the full version of "Everybody Wants to Go to Heaven," which this is probably my favorite track. Well, my second favorite track on this EP, and I think it's interesting. For one, the song definitely wasn't written by Crowder. It was written by, I believe she was like a country singer, and her name was Loretta Lynn. She wrote it in 1965. So. It's a good song in and of itself.
Yes.
And I like
the song.
I like that when they start singing it, around the second verse, they kind of shift it. It's already a minor key song, but they make it sound like almost creepy.
Yeah.
Sounding, you have the
it's diminished.
It's very diminished, and the piano is hitting the high notes, which it sounds kind of creepy.
Sounds like something you'd hear going through a haunted house.
Almost.
Just about.
So I find the the idea is interesting to me. I don't know if they did this on purpose. I can't be sure. But the thought occurred to me, what if, because I love it when music conveys ideas in a song. And what if the idea being conveyed here is the only thing creepier than dying is it's really weird of us, especially as Christians, and kind of creepy, that we'd want to stay alive. Shouldn't we rejoice at the idea of going to heaven? And isn't, begging God to not let us die kind of a weird, creepy idea? Or at least it should be.
I mean, begging God to not let us die. I mean, I feel like that comes to that in itself comes to kind of a creepy little situation, because you do need to rejoice in death. Like, I feel like if something happens to someone, they're either really sick for a long time and they pass away, or they just live a long life and they pass away. We need to rejoice that, hey, either they're in a better place now and they're not in pain, or wow, they lived a good life and now they get to be in an even better place.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't feel like we need to be so. I feel like it'd be even more creepy if we as Christians walk around being like, oh yeah, I can't wait to die. That'd scare the mess out of me, man.
We're Death Seekers. That'd be a great metal band.
Like a Christian metal band. Death Seekers. We're not suicidal, we're just heavenly minded.
Yeah, there's our metal side project, Death Seekers.
Daniel in the lion's den! What the heck is wrong with you?
Indeed, Solomon, what is wrong with you?
Lots of things are wrong with me, guys. Lots of things.
So, it was just a thought I had. I don't know if it was intentional. I don't know if they was going that direction.
What probably happened is they're like, okay, this is like the 5th time we played this song. I'm sick of it. Let's go on to something else.
Yeah. So, I like that song a lot. And the next song, I Can Hear the Angels Sing. It doesn't stand out to me, and I honestly forget it's there half the time. It's once again an old song they're covering here. And I feel like this was probably one they wanted to put on the album, but just didn't. It's by Don Reno. It was written in 1954. And it's, once again, just kind of...
Which one is this?
I Can Hear the Angels Sing. And I once again, it's just kind of a song dealing with death. And I feel like it's just one they wanted to record for the final album, for A Collision, and just didn't get around to it. So they stuck it on this. So, not a bad album. It's
not a bad album.
Or the song, I mean. I think the way they kind of electronica, the I Can Hear the Angels Sing bit. The way they do that, though, is slightly interesting.
Wow, now I need to know what that word is. Electronize?
Maybe, I don't know. The way they do that,
the way they make it electric. There we
go.
While
the rest of the album is very acoustic based, is pretty interesting. And then we get into the live section, and I love "Be Lifted" in this context because it sounds even more epic live, than it does on the album. So, once again, very good song. And I feel like I'm just kind of saying that about every song here together. It was a very good song.
I'm not saying that they're not good songs. I'm just saying, it's like, how can you really, judge it, the album? How can you judge an album that isn't, an album? Because what you said, 3 of them are live, 3 of them are remixed, and the others are covers or whatever?
Yeah.
So, if...
It actually breaks down to... Let's see, we have 1 B-side, 2 covers, 3 remixes, and 2 live songs.
So, all I'm saying is, how are we supposed to say, okay, so this one deserves X amount of stars because it holds up? Because it really doesn't, if you think about it.
I mean, we'll get into that when we get to the end.
All right.
Any thoughts on the live versions of I Saw the Light with the Shane?
They sound very live.
Yeah, they sound live. I like his explanation of the boom chuck, boom chuck.
Yeah,
very complex rhythm structure.
It's funny. It's very complex rhythm structure. If you are clapping on the chuck, then your beat is off.
We kindly ask that you clap upon the boom, not upon the chuck.
Yeah.
Also, David Crowder Band had a very interesting sense of humor, and it doesn't show as much in their radio singles or really their music in general. Their humor was much more of a live thing and behind the scenes.
Right.
And then I guess, do you have much more to say? Anything to say about these songs?
Just straight up, like, they're all good songs. I just don't have a lot to say about them. But I mean, I'll probably be saying more when it comes to scoring.
So, and then my favorite track is an iTunes exclusive, but I like it a lot. Do Not Move, B variant. And this very electronica song, very intense song.
Wait, is it only on iTunes?
Well, you can download it. I purchased it.
Oh.
And if like you listen to this album like on a Pandora or a Spotify, stuff like that, usually the B variant, the Do Not Move will show up in there.
Okay.
But I really like how they took a very electronica song and turned it into an acoustic song, and it still sounds darn amazing.
Right.
And that's why that's my favorite track, because it kind of breathes new life into an already good track. I feel like makes it even better. And this is one instance where somehow they still left some electronica in there, but stripped it way back.
Right.
And it kind of, there's this thing, particularly with Crowder's voice, where when all the instruments are stripped back and it's more just his voice at the forefront, he tends to get a lot more emotional, and you can hear the emotions in his voice, and It works really well.
It does. For him, I mean, he's one of the very few vocalists that you can hear emotion from his voice. Then there's a lot of them that just seem straightforward, and it's like, wow, we know you do this for a living.
Yeah.
But then there's Crowder Band, which I think, I'm not sure. I know some of them had some, full-time jobs, but then also would do the touring.
I think while they were doing this, they were just full-time musicians touring.
Well, see, they don't act like they do it for a living. They act like, oh, this is something fun we do.
Yeah, they seem to do it for the art.
They enjoyed it. They did. They did it for the art, the enjoyment, to have something to share with everyone. Whereas you've got a lot of, and it's mainly our worship singers nowadays, and nothing wrong with the K-Love station, but it's stuff you'd hear on K-Love.
Yeah.
That a lot of them, you're like, oh, you are writing worship music for a living. I mean, maybe, yeah, you truly feel that way, but put some emotion in it,
Yeah,
it's just very bland, and
you've made a craft.
Yeah, it's very 1-4-5, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's all to say. There's just not too much to talk about here. We've still managed to ramble for 23 minutes.
23 minutes, man.
And half of that was
the shortest we've ever done.
Maybe. Let's see how it goes in the end.
Yeah, the end here.
So final rating, I give a 2 for the lyrics. I know there's not a lot of new lyrics, but like I said, I feel like the B variant of Do Not Move breathes new life into the lyrics. Because the more emotion in David Crowder's voice does make a difference to the lyrics, I feel like.
Right.
And
okay. But that's also along with the music.
To a degree.
Mostly though, because his voice is the instrument making the words.
I see what you're saying. I still I guess I can concede on that. So I'll knock it down to a 1 star, mainly for Everybody Wants to Go to Heaven.
Right.
I like that song a lot.
Right.
Very good song. And then music, in that case, I will give a solid 2. I almost want to give it a 3, but I feel like that'd be too high.
Right.
But a 2, a very 2, almost 2.5 for the music. I feel like the music is excellent here, and it would, like I said, any lesser artist, if this was their style, it'd be phenomenal. It works very well for them. I'd love to hear like Crab Family break out and do an album like nothing but like this. Right. That would sound cool.
Right, just like a live album?
Not necessarily a live album. They've done a live album.
But a remix?
Not a remix. I mean, this kind of this back porch acoustic.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
I think that would sound kind of cool from them.
They've done some.
But not exactly
exactly like this, but they've done some.
Yeah. I think that would sound
And
cool.
even now, I don't know how lucky we'd get now that Jason's hit it big by himself.
I think they're still technically touring together.
I don't know if Jason's still with them though. Is what I'm saying. I don't know. Anyway.
And then as for how well the album holds up, I want it to hold up good. It's one of those albums I want to like, and I do like. I just keep forgetting to ever listen to it. So what I will do is I will back up here because I like even numbers.
Right.
I'm gonna give 2.5 for music, 1.5 for how well it holds up. So that brings it to 4, and then a final point for the lyrics. So that brings it up to a 5 for this EP for me.
And here we go with me, the critic.
All right.
So the music, I will give that a 2. That's as far as I'm going with the music.
Yeah.
Because I like the music.
It's very solid.
Because for the remixes, the music was remixed. For the variants, the music was variant. You know, I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for. And for the live album, it was live. You know what I'm saying?
It sounded live in the sense that I hate live
good
stuff.
Live music that sounds planned and practiced. Like
beyond that, I hate live music that sounds like the studio.
Right.
You can't tell the difference.
See, if you're using backtracks to play your song at a concert, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Which leads me to my next one. That was music. So, which leads me to the next one, the songs.
The songs are kind of the music, though.
I mean,
how well it holds up? Is that what
No, what are the
lyrics?
Things? Lyrics. That's what I meant. The lyrics.
Could you truly give them a 0, though?
I could give them a 1.
Okay.
I can give them a 1.
Based off of what?
Based off just the fact that there's nothing exciting to me, honestly.
But
the last one, yes, it's a good song.
What at least gives it that 1?
I would say that, man, you got to ask the hard questions, don't you?
What lyrics at least give it a 1?
I like Be Lifted.
Okay, Be Lifted
is probably my favorite on this little.
That is from the previous album, technically speaking.
Okay, and then what is it? A Beautiful Collision. It's good.
Once again, from a previous album.
But I'm just saying,
you will give them a pass.
I'll give them a pass of 1.
Okay, fair enough. 3.
But then, as it holds up as an album or EP, is what EP stands for is extended play. Mm-hmm. And you've seen this on our group chat. Mm-hmm. But what that means is, it's longer than a single but shorter than a full-length album.
Beyond that, though, it's supposed to be an extension of the album before it.
Okay.
Or after it.
Extended play. That's what that means. Mm-hmm. But anyway, it's not really, though. There's a couple songs in there that are. But the live, that's not really an extended play of it. The variants, you can, yeah. But what I'm saying is this is as this EP holds up for itself, not for the album before it. Mm-hmm. You have however many remixes it said it had, the variants, and then the live. So I'm gonna have to give it another 1.
I'm glad you always gave it 1. At first second, I thought you was going to score this lower than you did Sunset and Sushi, and I was kind of worried.
Yeah, I'm going to have to give it 1, man, for how it holds up.
Okay, 4.
Because everything in its own segments, they're great. I feel like they worked for their own good, but it's not really an EP. It's just now they're expecting it, so let's throw them all together. And they still sound good because we know what we're doing.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion. So that leaves us at a final rating.
Which leads me to, real quick, I'm sorry, but he said everyone has a right to their own opinion. And there's been a big controversy here lately. And we have a little bit of time, so I'm just going to kind of explain something to you. Opinions are how you think personally as an individual, and that's what makes you, is your opinions. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have opinions, that means that if everybody doesn't have opinions, that means they're living by fact, which means that everybody's right all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've heard it by a couple people that opinions cause division. That is true, but it's not a biblical statement to say you're not supposed to have an opinion. If you have an opinion, you have a right to that. And we like to hear your opinion. So if you don't agree with something we say on here and you want to throw in your 2 cents, which is valuable to us, do it. We have email, and I don't remember what the email is.
It's brotherskingmusic@zoho.com, which I always put in the link at the bottom of the description.
We'll have it in the link, and our Instagram page is brothersking_media. We would really like to hear from you because your opinion matters.
All right, and once again, this is Samuel.
And this is Solly.
Keep being the glimpse of eternity. Have a
Rock
great day.
on.